Okay, so I realize it's a little difficult to see a ship this big in the shop. She is, I will get a measurement on her here for you in a minute. I just finished adding a couple of pieces to her, 3 inches to be exact, near the stern here, which I will get back to in just a moment. You see some work going on there. The cutting that you seen me do in the previous clip was for these pieces. So I've added these pieces here to the top of her hull, and I will try and remember to inset photos here so y'all can see Goddard herself as she really is. I do have to make a bit of a change in here. As y'all know, I originally started out wanting to make PT-73 from McHale's Navy, the television show of the 60s and 70s. However, I since changed my mind. My patriotic streak kind of kicked in, and which happens quite regularly to me, as you notice by my license plate for one of my vehicles I used to own. I get this patriotic streak going, and well, it takes over. So we now have the CCGS, or Canadian Coast Guard ship, Captain Goddard, in honor of Nicola Goddard. Now the big deal about this is she is called a hero ship. Canada names these type ships after our fallen heroes. So there you go. Captain Goddard was a very brave young woman, and sadly she paid the ultimate price for her service with the Canadian Forces. I will give you her story as we go through the series. It's a little early, but I'm actually doing it in October for Remembrance Day, Veterans Day in the US, and it just seemed like a good time to start promoting the vets again this year. I don't feel vets get enough promotion, so I'm starting it early. Anyway, that's my personal issue with being a vet, which I have a few. Anyhow, aside from that, the pieces you saw me cut, the upper part of the hull. Now, this I think is a really graceful part of this ship, is the way the hull comes down. And then at the back, she has this funky little deal here. I gotta move around my grinder, my apologies. Let me try and move around to show you a little better what I am trying to describe to y'all. If I can get the whole ship, the whole stern in the shot here. Now, this gets covered horizontally across here. I just moved my piece, which is a real bad move twist. Okay, so, and then this in here is hollow. The exhaust from the ship and some other things are out the back here, but they are protected, and I'm assuming that is military purposes to kind of disguise her signature somewhat. And anyway, so I have just got these pieces added in and ready to weld into place. So let me get that done, and we will continue on here. Stern to aft. So she's a big girl, and she is going to make one awesome cool ship. But let me get some welding done, and we will continue on here, yeah? Okay, so a little look here at her welded up now. As you can see, she comes out 3 inches, goes down 7 inches. I should have stuck a tape up there for you, sorry. That is 1/8 by 1 inch thick flat steel, and down at the bottom is how I braced the keel, giving it tons of strength from any lateral movement. And here we are with that funky little tail assembly welded in here. So lots of strength from lateral movement front and back all over the keel here. I try and make them as strong as I possibly can. I've stuck with MIG welding on the whole assembly so far. Those are the side pieces that are finally tacked into place. Now I do have to make some changes along here. This is the old PT73 version. I have to do a very radical change in this section. So that will be coming up here later in the video. I didn't bother recording it because honestly I completely forgot to record sections, and it took me a hell of a long time to figure out how to change this. But this just gives you a look downer. I am just under 1/4 of an inch out of square front to back and top to bottom. So not bad for a 61-inch long ship. Pretty decent. That is 1/8 flat steel. Again, I'm using that because I am going to be tying the floor assembly in there. Okay, so from PT73, it needed a lot of changes to the front hull, or the front of the hull. I needed to put a much bigger sweeping arc in here, and of course I needed to change the bow to come up on a slight sloping arc there. So yeah, it's a lot of welding now, because as you can see along my edges, I've had to make slices with a jigsaw all the way along both sets of rails and along the front. But I will add a picture in here, and the bow will become very apparent as to what it should look like, and how this is coming along by comparison. It's going to fit rather well. I have to get rid of the hump here, but that's very easy to overcome. And so once you, like I say, once you see the ship, you'll see why I did it. I also have to make a little change in the bow here and bring a little triangular section in to fit the anchor. Starting a new day. It's now Monday, and I am cutting out a few pieces to add into the hull of our new ship, the CCGS Captain Goddard MSM. I'm using a Makita chop saw with a 1/8 thick carbide blade on it, and I'm cutting half-inch tube with 1/8 inch thick walls, if I could talk today on a Monday. And what I am doing is I'm cutting a few pieces to put in some support here, which you'll see in just a couple of seconds. And the reason I'm putting this support in is, or putting the support in this way, is this is going to give the front hull a lot of stability, both in terms of wave strength and crushing, and of course side-to-side movement. It actually is going to lock the hull into one place front to back. And of course I'm MIG welding here today. I have MIG welded the whole hull to this point. There's been no oxyacetylene on this. And yeah, these support pieces basically are tying in right underneath what will be the front cabin area, or the main deck area. There's where the crew goes. The ship has a complement of 9 and 5 officers, 4 enlisted. And that is sleeping quarters and galley and so on in the main cabin, mainly because she is capable of staying out to sea for 14 to 17 days. So of course they have to have, you know, place to rack and place to get some eats, and even the occasional cup of coffee would probably be pretty nice if the officers let them get away with it. Our officers never did, but you never know. You never know. The Navy does things a little differently than the Army does it. So okay, let's do a couple of little tacks here and blasts with the MIG welder and get her all buttoned up. So for those of you who are interested, I use a Lincoln 140A MIG welder, and I have had it for quite a number of years. It's about a 15-year-old machine. It hasn't caused me a whole lot of grief. I have had some issues with the rollers from time to time, but that's kind of a natural phenomenon or occurrence with the MIGs. They tend to go through the rollers, and you have to replace them once in a while. I am also running a 35 or a .035 flux cord wire for welding with the MIG. I don't usually run with argon, mainly because of expense. I've just never really been able to afford the argon all that much, and I've never had a whole lot of need for it, to be honest with you. But I am going to start trying to get into more and more aluminum welding on the RCs as we go here. I want to make them both out of solid steel and solid aluminum. So once my aluminum welding gets better, you will see that in future videos. But I will have to complete my argon setup first. The last piece I need is a tank and a regulator. So that will probably be coming in the new year here. But that's what I run for a MIG setup. Okay, so the last part I'm adding in here is the cabin support, the main cabin support, and this will allow me, oh, pardon me, I did make it out of 1 inch by 1/8 flat steel along with the 1/2 inch tube steel supports. I did it this way because it will allow me to bolt or screw the cabins down rather than affix them firmly, and I explain why here further on in the video. So we have a main cabin on the Goddard here, and all I have left to do now is frame in the pilot house, which will come in here. And yeah, now I do have a little bit more framing because off the front here I have to make it come down and so on. I haven't decided exactly how I'm going to do that yet. I think I'll probably do that out of the same material, which is just channeled 1/2 inch square tube. And yeah, because it comes down into about this neck of the woods. There are no specs on the real ship's main cabins or pilot house, so I've just got to go by the photos and get her about right. That is why the lower cabin is designed at 18 inches so far. I guess it'll actually come out to probably more like about 23 inches by the time it's done, because I've got to come off this front corner and drop a piece down so, and figure out how I'm going to connect back and that sort of thing. I can't go beyond this brace here, and in fact I think what my thought process is right now is connect a piece off of each end here, curve it, bring it down so that I can screw it right into that main beam there, yeah, on either side. And so it will just curve, oh, sorry, I was out of angle there. So it will curve down and come boom onto this piece here. So yeah, so those are the pieces I have to make now, plus the upper cabin, but it has gotten a little bit late, and as I say, I want to get this video out to y'all tonight. So I think that's going to about do it here on CCGS Captain Goddard MSM. And you now have a little story to go along with it. A true story, as a matter of fact, of a very brave young woman who made the ultimate sacrifice for her country, and also for Afghanistan, for what it was worth to them. But that's another argument, I guess. But anyway, so there's the main cabin on her, and yeah, I'm going to head into the small shop now and get this video produced and get it out to y'all. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like it down below. And also, if I could talk, also subscribe if you haven't, down below. So make that little bell ring for the like, and please subscribe and share with your friends. I am Twist, and this has been YYC Designz, Custom RC Creations. Y'all have a good rest of the work week, and we will see you in the next video, which will be coming out about the end of this week. Alrighty guys and girls, take care. See you in the next one. Bye bye.